Hi everybody, welcome back to Dark Girl Chronicles. Yay! So it's been an interesting couple of months. About a little more than, I think, like 9 months between my last video and this one. So hey, hi, hey. I decided I wanted to do a video because I was like, I haven't done one in a really long time, so I should probably do one. Update everybody about what's going on. So, not too much going on. Okay, so, Brandon and I are fine. We're just, working and, trying to survive. But we're good. We're doing well. We're both still, working at our jobs and doing stuff that we normally are doing. Still doing gaming insurrection. Especially now that I've gotten into like work. I've gotten into a routine with work, and he's gotten into a routine with work. So we're doing well. I'm still in accounting, and he's still with his agency. So yeah, everything's with us is pretty good. Not too much going on. I think the last time I made a video was like Christmas, was right before Christmas, because we had just had a Christmas party at work. So, yeah, Christmas came and went and we were good, and, we were, Christmas was fine. We stayed at the house, and, we didn't go anywhere. We did go over to my aunt's house to pick up food, and that was about it. Like, we did go get breakfast. We had gotten, because we have our Christmas tradition where we have, like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, morning of Christmas Day, we'll go get Denny's, breakfast from Denny's, to go, which is what we've been doing the last 3 years. 2.5 years we've been dealing with the Rona. So, which is still a thing, because we're gonna get to that in a minute. But we've been doing our tradition since it started in 2020. Christmas of 2020 was our first year of getting it to go and just coming back to the house. So we went and got breakfast, and then we went over to my aunt's house, got dinner once she said it was ready. And so we got over there, and we were masked up, and yeah, house full of people, not a soul in there wearing masks, and I'm just like, yeah, this is gonna be a no-go, because at that point Omicron had started circulating, and so I was like, I'm not gonna be up in this house with a bunch of people and nobody got on a mask. That's not gonna work. So and this is like super easy to catch too. I don't know where none of y'all been. I don't know who you been around. Y'all don't know who we've been around. So, no. So, we went and picked up food, and I was like, I'm not staying in here. And so we went back home, because I was just like, yeah, no, this ain't gonna work. And then on top of that, I really don't want to spend time with you people. So, I was like, no, absolutely not. We're not spending time together. That's gonna be a no-go. So, goodbye. And so we came back home. And so I'm going to tell y'all, let me tell you about how folks do. Because I'm going to tell you, folks ain't shit. Okay? Most people aren't shit. So, Christmas morning, I had told him, he opened his gifts. We got up. We had our Christmas Eve tradition too, which part of that involved going to Denny's. But we usually would get stuff Christmas Eve, because Christmas Eve is generally when my family would hold Christmas Eve dinner. And generally they would have something I did not want. And so I was like, and then of course, by the time I would get into town, all of this started because I was living out of town and coming home for Christmas. And I wouldn't be able to have something to eat because they would have stuff that I did not want. And so Brandon would meet up with me over at my grandparents' house, and then we would go get something to eat. Because Denny's would be the only thing that was open. So I was like, oh, all right, cool. So that's how we started the tradition. That's why it started on Christmas Eve. It morphed into Christmas morning when one year we went to go get something and I just didn't feel well Christmas Eve. I was already living here, but I didn't feel well. So I was like, we'll just push it to the next day, get something to eat. Then we go, do what we're going to do for Christmas. So, and that started before we got married. Matter of fact, we started the Denny's tradition when we first started dating. And I want to say it was even when we were casually dating in 2012 is when we started that tradition. Because Christmas of 2011, we were not casually dating just yet. I was separated from ex-husband, but we weren't, Brandon and I weren't casually dating at that point. I had just separated from ex-husband. So we didn't. I saw him that Christmas, vaguely. I think I saw him that Christmas. And then 2012 is when we started casually dating. When we had been friends for years and years and years before that. So, yeah. So, yeah, we really started the tradition probably like 2012, maybe as late as 2013, when we were already dating. We were seriously dating by the end of 2013. So, yes. So, and if you recall, there are several videos dealing with that where we were dating by the end of 2013 for Dark Girl Chronicles. So, anyway, yeah, so we went, we talked to his parents Christmas morning, and then we got our Denny stuff straight, okay? And I told him, I said, please touch base with both of your parents this morning, okay? Make sure you physically talk to them. Do not leave a message. Make sure you actually talk to them. He was like, okay, fine, yeah, I talked to him. So he called. He called his dad first, then he called his mom, okay? Keep in mind that my parents-in-law are not my favorite people in the world. But I'm like, it's Christmas. Call your mama and daddy. All right. So he calls his mom first. Well, no, he called his dad first. Called his dad. I'm fixing to open presents, and then I'm gonna call mom in a few minutes. Merry Christmas. Good morning. Merry Christmas. All right. He did that. Then he opened his gifts, and I opened my gifts, and then we went and got Denny's. Okay. Keep in mind, this is also the first Christmas that we were married. And I'm talking about, like, actually legally married. Okay. So, we go get stuff. We eat. We come back home. More gifts. Just, milling around the house. Talking to folks on the phone. Hey, Merry Christmas. You cool? Good. Okay. So, later in the day, we go over to my aunt's house. Now, keep in mind, earlier he told his parents, hey, we're going to go pick up food. Lindsay's aunt is cooking. Okay. We did that. Keep in mind, he told both parents this. Everything is cool, or so we thought. Next day, the day after Christmas. Now, mind you, I have a ton of time off because we both work for the state of South Carolina. So we have a ton of time off, or at least I do, because I'm a salaried employee. He does not, but he got time off after Christmas too. A little bit of time. So the next day we sitting at the house chilling. Alright. He playing Yakuza. Phone rings about 9:30. And I said, now who the hell calling this house at 9:30? The day after Christmas. Now who would be calling at this hour? And it turned out it was his daddy. And I said, oh, didn't we just talk to him yesterday? Why he calling again today? All right, fine. So he answers the phone. And I wasn't really paying too much attention to the conversation because it wasn't none of my business. But I did hear him say, I hear Brandon say, well, no, Daddy, we talked to Mama. What you talking about? We talked to Mama. So yeah, I made that face. And I said, I already know what this is fixing to be about. I already know. So he's on the phone talking to his dad and telling him, no, Daddy, we talked to her. We actually talked to her. I don't understand what you're talking about. Like, what are you talking about? And why are you calling me this late at night with this? Like, so finally he gets off the phone and he says, that was my dad. Yeah, I could tell. And he says, well, Daddy was asking, did we go anywhere yesterday? And I was like, why would he ask that? No, actually, you know what? Back up, stop. I know why he asked that. I'm already certain I know why he asked that. Because earlier in the day, we had called his cousins, whose house we used to go to holidays. And she would cook. Lady cousin would cook. Okay. Lady cousin is a very good cook. So we would have dinner more than likely twice at my aunt's house and at cousin's house. So we would go and spend time with them because family. Also, lady cousin was at our wedding. So she was an unexpected guest at our wedding, but she was a guest nonetheless. And I really like them. I do. I like them. They also happen to have gone to school with one of my recently departed aunts. So, I mean, they kind of knew family and all of that. They knew my family a little bit. So, I said, well, did you talk to, what your daddy wanted? And so he says, well, he was wanting to know, did we have guests over to the house? I said, excuse me? Did we have guests over at the house? First of all, why is he asking? Second of all, none of his business. And third, what if we did? Then what? Ain't nobody can answer that. Ain't nobody had no answer for that. So I said, you and I both know we didn't have any guests at the house. We ain't been having guests at this house since the start of the Rona. Okay? In March 2020. We stopped having guests at the house. And if they did come over, if anybody came over, it was one person at a time. And they wore masks like 99% of the time they were in this house. Okay? We don't just be rolling over to other people's house either. So I said, well, he said, well, I told Daddy that, we went over to Auntie's house to get something to eat. Pick up food and come back home. But that was it. And we'd already told him the plan. So I was trying to figure out why he was calling. And I said, well, you and me both. Because I was trying to figure out what he was calling for too. He already knew what the plan was. But see, and this is why I say people ain't shit. So I had talked to the cousins earlier that day when we called, with Christmas greetings and all. I had talked to the cousins, and the cousins said, oh yeah, we wasn't planning to have no guests over to the house, but your mother-in-law decided to come over anyway because she ain't have no other place to go, and she was trying to get her something to eat. And we said, well, we ain't having no guests, but we fixed something to eat. So I said, so let me get this straight, because we already know what this was. We already know what it is. We know what it is. She felt that it was appropriate to go socializing because vaccine. Because at this point, December 2021, vaccine was out there. We was already on booster shots by this point. Okay. And I said, let me make sure I got this right. Now, because she thought that vaccine equals freedom to go out and start doing stuff again, you just going to show up at somebody's house, even though they done told you they ain't trying to have no visitors. You going to show up at these people's house, who, by the way, are high risk because they're elderly and black, just like you. But you don't think it's cool to just bogart your way on over there. Maybe they didn't want you to come over there. So I said, and then he told me, he said, well, Daddy was asking, did you see your mom? Did you talk to your mom? And I'm like, excuse me? First of all, if he felt like sitting at the house all fucking day, scratching his balls, staring at the wall, guess what he could do? That does not include seeing his mother if he don't want to. You got to be wary of the audacity of some people, because some people feel entitled to your time, your money, and your presence. And when they feel entitled to it, they think that that's just license to do whatever they want, say whatever they want, employ flying monkeys to come on in and enforce their will. I said maybe he didn't feel like seeing Mama yesterday. maybe we didn't feel like seeing her. Maybe if it was such a big deal for her black ass to see her child, maybe she could have drove over here. I mean, she went gallivanting around town and went to go see nephew and his family and drop off gifts, but you couldn't come roll by the house? You been coming over here with no kind of warning. You just showing up and honking your horn outside, but you couldn't bother to come by, call and say, hey, I'll come by, drop off y'all gift, whatever. Let me get some eyes on you and see you. You mean to tell me you couldn't do that? But you could have time to go run into other folk house, possibly exposing them to disease? Get the fuck out of here. She gets on my nerves. Because I sure was like, you know what? I don't want to hear nothing from her. Don't talk to me about, did you see him? Did you spend time with him? Bye. And I told Brandon, I said, you should have told your daddy, because see, I don't know if you want to use me as the example, because I'm petty, and I lead by petty example. But the first thing out of my mouth would have been, you so worried about whether or not I talked to her, you need to be worried about, did I talk to you? Because you insist upon calling here on behalf of somebody else, advocating for somebody else. You better advocate for yourself. But I'm petty, so that might not necessarily be the best example to follow. I can't stand the audacity, the gall, the absolute nerve. I was like, you don't go sit down somewhere and do not call this house ever again that late at night for some bullshit you already know the answer to. You better not ever call this house again talking about what did you? What your mama said. And see, he thought he was being slick by not saying, as he usually does, what your mama said. Because he know we already, as soon as he said, no, we're not entertaining this. I have a problem with both of them. And it's part of a larger problem. It's like they don't know how to act with a child-in-law. It's like they don't know what to do with a daughter-in-law. They confused. They super confused. It's like, well, wait a minute. Well, what do we do with her? I don't understand what we're supposed to do with her. You supposed to care about the stuff she did? No, I don't care. Well, I don't care either. Okay, but she ain't going nowhere. So what we supposed to do with her? It's like they don't know how to act with one. And what makes it so bad is the daddy got a child-in-law with one of his other children. So you should already know how that works. But you too busy running and listening to crazy old here who trying to get me out of the picture by any means necessary. Just doing the most. They do the most. And it's super annoying. So I just be making that face most of the time. Yeah, I'm not dealing with y'all. Either one of you. So this is going to come into play again, because this is important. Okay. Keep in mind that they act like they don't know what to do with a daughter-in-law. Okay. So that was Christmas. Ain't nothing went down after that. Okay. Wasn't paying her no never mind. So then, so in like May, here she come. So I guess something happened up the street from my house. Like, keep in mind, not on the same street, but up the street. And by up the street, I mean like 20 blocks up the street. Okay. Yes, I live in the hood. Okay. Let's just go and get that out there on the street too. I live in the hood. So there's a number of things that happen on a rather consistent basis that you know happens in the hood. Okay. So I had seen it on the news. I went and I was like, let me go find out what this is. So here she come calling me. Now I don't hear from you any other time, but here you come calling. And I'm like, what do you want? So I go and I look this up after she called me. She leaves this message. She said, I'm just calling to check on you. Make sure you're doing all right. I heard about the shooting up the street from your house. I didn't know how far away it was from the house, but I was just checking on you. I was concerned. Want to make sure you're all right. And I'm like, girl, you don't really care whether or not I'm all right, but all right. So I called him and I was like, why your mama just called me and left this message about bullshitting? And he's like, oh, she called you? Call her back. I was like, man, I'm not calling her right now. I'm not calling her right now. Because I don't want to talk to her. I don't care if she worried about me. Don't care. She not really worried about me. That's the point here. So I waited a couple of hours. And I was like, I'm not stopping what I'm doing to call her back. She ain't important. And her worry and concern is not real actual worry and concern. It's really not. You more concerned about is your child at home and was he involved. That's what you care about. You don't give a shit about me. You don't care about me. Which is going to be important in a minute too. So I called her back. And he's sitting there. He was sitting there when I called her back. And actually got a hold of her. And so and she gonna throw in when she calls me back, because she actually called me back because I left her a message. As a matter of fact, when I called her back, she didn't answer, so she left me a message. And so then she calls me again, and I said, hello, mother-in-law, I'm fine. I'm fine. That was not even anywhere near my house. That was like 20 blocks up the street in the other direction, closer toward, your mama house. So I said, but I'm fine. So she gonna say, oh, well, that's good. I was just calling to check on you. And I wanted to know, we should get together for lunch at some point. And I said, well, you're going to have to let me check my calendar and get back to you, which is code for no. Yeah, but I ain't want to be rude. Never mind the fact that she's exceptionally rude to me. I wasn't trying to be rude. So I said, you're just going to have to let me check my calendar and get back to you. I have to give you a date at some point. Like, that was my face the whole time. I was just like, you ain't even getting a date because I don't want to talk to you and I don't want to spend time with you. I do not want to give up my precious time that I could be doing other things, in the middle of a pandemic, spending time with somebody who running around out in the street during a pandemic where it's at its most contagious. So that was me. All right. Birthday comes. She sends me a text to say, happy birthday. Oh, and then had to be told that it was my birthday. Brandon and I have been together 9 years at this point. Our wedding anniversary marked 9 years together. Okay, wedding anniversary and dating anniversary, if you recall, are combined here. We did it on the same day. We've been together for 9 years. It'll be 10 years next year. She has known my birthday for probably 8 of the 10 years. Because for the first 2, I don't recall having told her when my birthday was. Because I didn't interact with her very much in the first 2 years. But, so probably, and that's including time that we off and on, that we were casually dating. We've been together, really, casually dating included, probably like 10 years. Okay. But when I say 10 years, we've been together 9 years, I mean in a serious, committed, monogamous, exclusive relationship. She didn't know the majority of that time, so it ain't no excuse. There's some years she remembers, and some years I guess she just don't care, I guess. And I'm like, man, fuck you. Like, you don't need to remember my birthday. And don't damn send me no message talking about, oh, Brandon told me it was your birthday. Bye. Like, you knew exactly when my birthday was. It don't change. Oh, shit, asshole. Like, I can't with her. So that was June. Birthday is in June. Then there was the big thing. So August rolls around. Now keep in mind, we've resumed doing visits because I was on one assignment at work, and then I switched back to the original assignment that I had when I started at this job. Okay, so that involved going to nursing home. All right, went to nursing home with dude bro that I work with. Good dude. I like him. I like spending time with him. He's a good dude. I really, really like him. Problem is, we're going to a nursing home. So I'm already on edge because I'm like, man, this will be the damn time I catch the Rona. Except it wasn't. A week later, we go into the nursing home. No problems. Got there, got in, did what we needed to do, get out. Okay. And do what we need to do and do it well while we're there. And then get out. A week later, I'm sitting at my desk. And all of a sudden, I feel awful. And I'm talking about awful. I have a headache. And I had the chills. And I couldn't warm up. And I said to my desk neighbor, I said, you know, I'm cold. And I can't seem to warm up. At all. Like, I'm freezing cold. And it was raining that morning. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I just, I got the hem of my pants wet up. And maybe I'm cold because my clothes got a little wet on the way in. Brandon had dropped me off at work because he was off that day. And earlier that morning, I'd woken up in the middle of the night with a sore throat. And I said, that's unusual. That's really unusual, but all right, I'm cool. I'm gonna go back to bed, and I did, and it went away. Okay, so I said, and I had taken some tea with me, and I was like, I still can't seem to warm up, but I'll take some tea with me. Maybe that'll help settle my throat a little bit, keep that from getting worse. And then the not warming up part. But I sat there, I had drank my tea, I ate a little breakfast, but headache continued. Still felt a little terrible. And then I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute. And I'm burning up. Like my forehead is burning up. But I have the chills. Can't warm up. And this neighbor said, well, yeah, it is a little cold in here. It does seem to be a little cold in here. Like normal. And I said, yeah, it is usually cold in here. That's not unusual. So and I had put on my sweater. I had this really thick black sweater that is super warm, nice yarn sweater that my mom had bought me. It's got a hood on it too. So I put the hood on, and my niece, because my mom had the brown version of the sweater, and I got the black one. My niece took the brown one when my mom died. We were cleaning out the closets, and I said, well, here, you can have this. This was your grandmother's. You keep this. I don't mind. I had told her, I said, I have my own. Mama bought this for me, years and years ago. So I put that sweater on, my black one, and put the hood on. And I still couldn't warm up. So I said, I think I'm going to leave early today. I'm going to leave in a couple of hours. I think I'm going to go home because I'm not feeling well. And she said, well, yeah, I would. If you don't feel good, yeah, maybe you ought to go, maybe at lunchtime. And I said, yeah, Brandon's supposed to be bringing me lunch. I'll, get some lunch and go on home. And I'll just eat it at the house. Well, right as Brandon texted me to tell me he was there with my lunch, I started putting two and two together. And I'm like, wait a minute. I have the chills. I can't warm up. My head is burning up. That might be fever. I got sore throat. So this may or may not be strep. It might be the flu. It might be COVID. Okay. I don't know what this is, but this ain't good. Whatever it is, I'm coming down with something. So, but as I was standing there and the realization hit me, I said, you know what? This could possibly be COVID. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking. I looked at the people. I looked at my desk neighbor who had several of my other colleagues at her desk. And I looked at them and it just kind of slowly dawned on me, this might be COVID. And as I'm like, I don't have my mask on and I have been drinking this tea and I can't warm up. Sore throat is one of the symptoms of this most recent variant. So I'm like, oh shit. I have been sitting here for 3 hours with no mask on trying to warm up and drink this hot tea and eat something. I have to go. This might be COVID. like these thoughts are just popping into my head and I'm like, this might be COVID. We gotta go. We gotta go right now. We have to leave. We have to get away from people. Because I'm sitting there thinking, oh God, I've exposed, if it is COVID, I don't know if it is, but if it is COVID, I might have exposed these people and gotten these other people sick. I don't know if it's COVID for me, but I mean, that if it is, I have exposed people, possibly. And so I got the hell out of Dodge as soon as Brandon texted me, because right as I was sitting there thinking about this, Brandon texted me to say, oh, I'm downstairs with lunch. And I got in the car. I said, I'm coming. When I get downstairs, take me home. I don't feel well, and I think this might be COVID. And so on the way home, I said, baby, I think this might be COVID. I don't feel good. And it's all of the symptoms of Omicron. Like, this is bad. And so I tried not to panic. I told him, I said, I think I have a fever. I'm burning up. My head is burning up, but I'm got the chills and I can't warm up. And I've been trying to warm up for the last 3 hours. And so we got home. I told everybody where I was like, I'm going. I gotta go. I'm leaving right now, but I gotta go home. And so I got home because I didn't want to alarm anybody by telling them I think I have COVID. So I got to the house and I tried to keep my distance and immediately put my mask back on and got the hell away from around people close enough where they might have been impacted. I got to the house. I, got in bed. I felt terrible. My head was killing me. I got in bed. Husband comes in, takes my temperature. It's 101. No, I'm sorry. It was like 100.2 or something like that. And I was like, that's a fever. That would explain why I was burning up, yet couldn't warm up. All right. And I was still had the chills. Okay. Sorry, I was like, all right, I have a fever. I had a sore throat earlier. This could either be strep, flu, or COVID. And the reason why I say strep throat is because I am a carrier for strep throat. I used to get it every year when I was in school as a little child, which pissed me off because I inevitably would miss a day somewhere and wouldn't get perfect attendance. So I was so mad about that. So I said, well, I need you to go to the Walgreens, get some cold and sinus because the stuff we got has expired. He goes to the Walgreens. On the way back, I said, oh, this might be COVID. You're going to have to go back when he got back home, because I thought about it. I was like, this might be COVID. I'm very seriously considering this is COVID. You need to get me a test. I need to take a home test. I suspect I need to take a home test. He was mad, but he went back. Comes back home. I hesitated to take the test because I was scared. I ain't gonna lie to you, y'all. I was scared. And because this whole time, 2.5 years, they've been telling folks like me who are super high risk, diabetes, high blood pressure, I'm overweight, black, like, bruh, COVID is not good for you. So I'm sitting here scared shitless. I'm scared that I've infected people at my job. I'm scared I've possibly infected my husband. I mean, that I'm going to die because I did something that, caused me to get COVID. He goes and gets the test. He comes back. I take the test. They tell you to wait 15 minutes. So I had to follow the directions, take this thing, swab my nose, and doing all in both nostrils, which you have to do. Put the thing in the thing, flip it over, close it up, sit and wait. Pops positive within 5 minutes. And I'm like, fuck, I have COVID. This is bad. This is really bad. We had already talked about that if one of us got it, the other one was probably going to get it. Okay? So that's important. So I'm like, shit, I have COVID. That means the only place there's one of two places I could have gotten this. One, when I went to the nursing home the previous week, because again, nursing homes are a hotbed for this sort of thing. And they had cases when I went to the one that earlier in the week. But the other place I could have gotten it was work. Okay? Because we got motherfuckers who walk around in that building who don't wear masks. Okay? Y'all asses be out in the street doing whatever. You don't wear masks and then you come into work. You then proceed to be all up in each other's faces. All in each other's desks. All in people's offices. Then you want to go and have meetings in person. And you want to be all up underneath each other. But y'all ain't taking COVID seriously. Okay. So we sitting there and I'm like, all right, I got COVID. We got to enact the protocol. So he was like, immediately we need to isolate from each other. You get in bed, you stay in bed. I'll start bringing you whatever you need. You start getting stuff. And as he's talking to me with his mask on, he has his mask on. I, of course, do not because I've been swabbing my nose. I start coughing. A little bit. But the kicker was the congestion in my face started building. I could feel it in my sinuses start building up. That was the tip off. I was like, oh shit, yeah, yeah. I mean, like I say, my test popped positive within 5 minutes of the 15 minutes that you have to wait. And I'm like, fuck. So you could also feel the congestion starting. So I'm like, oh God, Jesus. All right. So he starts isolating from me. He asked me if I'm hungry. By the time he went and I put the order in for food, he went and got it, brought it to me on a tray, tried to stay the hell away from me. Because at this point I've been showing symptoms. So that means 2 days before that was probably when I got infected. 2 days after that, I'm going to be super contagious too. Okay. With Omicron. So he goes and gets food. He brings it back. In the space of time between that, my face was already clogged up. I had congestion in my sinuses. None really in my chest. Not really. But it was really more in my face. It started in my face. By then I couldn't taste anything. And I clarify that by saying I never lost my sense of taste and smell. It's just because of the congestion I couldn't taste anything. Because whenever you're congested in your face, like you had the flu, you can't taste anything. Everything is really blunted. So that was Thursday. Okay. Thursday night, I had the night sweats. I woke up in the middle of the night sweating. And he wasn't in here with me because he isolated from me. And he went and slept on the couch in the living room. Okay, so that started our isolation Thursday. Friday morning, I got up, called my doctor. Hey, doc, I got a positive test for COVID. Yeah, COVID caught up with me, unfortunately. So what are we going to do? Because I do not want to die. Okay. So she's like, all right, I'll put you on Paxlovid. And while I was sitting there, I was blowing my nose. I fell asleep while I was waiting on her because she was late by an hour. I had to do a telehealth appointment because I called my doctor's office and was like, hey, I got a positive test for COVID. What do I need to do? So Friday, I sat there and waited for her, and I was trying not to fall asleep, but I did. I fell asleep while I was waiting for her, and between blowing my nose, because I spent more time sleeping and blowing my nose, or both. Okay. So also keep in mind, in our house we only have one bathroom. We have 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. So I stayed in our bedroom. Bathroom, there's only one. So we had to share a bathroom. And I'm like, fuck. Like, so every time I went to the bathroom, because I wound up having to pee a lot, and my stomach was upset too. That was also another sign of the COVID. I sprayed everything down. I washed my hands. I tried not to touch anything. And I wore my mask. Anytime I moved in this bedroom, I put on a mask and I kept it on. So much so that the backs of my ears, like this part right here where my finger is, back here was red and raw. Because I kept my mask on 24/7. I had a N95. And so I had, and we had been using N95s the whole time anyway. Like since the beginning when they said, oh, hey, by the way, cloth masks are not going to cut it. You need an N95 or a KN95 or a surgical mask. I've been using N95s. So plus my cloth mask on top of that. So, man, I was one of the early adopters. I was out here. I wrapped a bandana around my face before, they started recommending a very specific type of mask. So I was like, yeah. And I went to the grocery store and people was laughing at me because I had a bandana wrapped around my face. This is before masks became a thing. So I was like, joke's on y'all, because I guarantee you, y'all ass is going to get this at some point. So, and I was one of the few people in there with something on my face. So, that was early on in the pandemic. So, that was Friday when I talked to her. She got me started on Paxlovid. We're going to get to Paxlovid in a minute. Paxlovid is 3 pills. It's a Z-Pack, basically. 3 pills that you take twice a day for 5 days. Okay? So, I started on Friday. My day 0 was on Thursday when I diagnosed myself. Okay? And day 0 is the day you start showing symptoms. Okay. So Friday, that was day 1. I started on the Paxlovid and slept. Okay. Saturday was cool. I still congested, really congested, but I had already taken 2 doses of the Paxlovid. Okay. Because you have a morning dose and an evening dose. So I've already gone through 1 day's worth of Paxlovid. The aftertaste started Friday night. Paxlovid's aftertaste is one of the most god-awful things I have ever tasted in my whole life. It tasted like I grabbed a pan from under my grandmama's cabinet that been under there for as many years as I've been alive, 41, and I grabbed it and I licked it 50 times a day for 5 days. That's what it tastes like. It was a super bitter, metallic aftertaste. It tasted so awful. So I said, well, your girl is going to finish taking this Paxlovid because we have to, but my God, this is awful. So symptoms still mild. I had congestion. The headache finally started going away. But nothing as awful as it could have been with the previous variants, where people's hospitalized and ain't coming out of the hospital and they got to be put on a respirator because they can't breathe. It was nowhere near as bad as that, but thank God, because I was sitting up there please don't let this get as bad as this could. I have diabetes and for people with diabetes, I'm scared my sugar's gonna spike and do all this crazy shit. It never did. Blood pressure, high blood pressure, scared it was going to spike. It never did. But you still don't want this, okay? As mild as it can be, you still don't want this. Just try not to get it, okay? So during this time, I'm sitting there thinking, all right, Now, how in the hell did I get this? I have been extremely careful. Husband has been extremely careful. And I was like, I don't think it was him. I think it was me. He seemed to be fine. That was Friday. So I started trying to piece together and backtrack and do some tracing. Okay, well, Saturday, husband starts coughing. And I'm like, oh, fuck. We did not catch this as fast as I thought we did with isolating. But we couldn't prove that he had it because he took a test on Friday and it was too soon to test. I told him, I said, yeah, you took a test Friday, but it's too soon. It's too soon. So, and I said, it's going to come back negative. But I guarantee you, you're not negative. You're probably positive because we're in too close of proximity for that. For you not to test positive. I knew as soon as one of us got it, the other one was probably going to get it too. We do share a bed. Like, we share a bedroom, a bed, a bathroom, a kitchen. Like, I mean, we're in the same space a large percentage of the time. Except for when we're at work. So I said, well, all right. He starts coughing Saturday. And I'm like, oh, shit. This is bad. So Saturday night, he's coughing a little bit. And you could hear him coughing up phlegm. And I'm like, so I said to him through the door. He was talking to me through our bedroom door. And I said, baby, you coughing? And he said, yeah, it might be a cold. I was like, no, baby, it's probably not a cold. If I'm positive, I guarantee you it's probably COVID. I'm going to go ahead and say it's COVID. But we have to assume that you are negative until you test positive. Okay? And he was like, yeah, that's true. So I get tested on Tuesday. He did. So we made it through Saturday. Sunday, I was feeling better because now I'm on Paxlovid day 3. Okay? So I'm feeling better and I'm up and I'm kind of moving around. I'm still not doing anything, and I didn't leave our bedroom except to go get stuff out of the kitchen with mask on, double masked, triple it. I was trying to triple mask, but double masked, and go into the bathroom. Okay, so that was Sunday. Monday, I actually started working again Monday because I took Friday off. Sick day because I had COVID, and Monday I was at home working from home, and I had talked to people at work and told them, my desk neighbor who we were talking about, it was cold and I couldn't warm up, and she was cold. I said, go get yourself tested. I tested positive Thursday, the day that I left super fast and tried to get out of Dodge. I told her, I said, I'm so sorry. I do not want to expose you to this, but I tested positive, and that's why I got the hell out of there really fast because I suspected it was COVID. And I hope I did not expose you and you, by extension, your husband, your dog. I mean, because dogs can get it. So I'm like, I really do not want to have exposed anybody, but please get yourself tested. The guy that I went to the nursing home with, I had been around for a couple of days. I told him, test yourself, please. So when I told him, because he's also my in charge, I told him, you need to get tested. This is COVID. I know for a fact I have COVID. He immediately tested himself Friday or Saturday, and he tested negative. Desk neighbor tested negative. Guy who sits in front of me, other desk neighbor, he too thought he might have been exposed in the 2 days before I started showing symptoms. We didn't know. But we keep our masks on a large portion of the time. He keeps his mask on a lot of the time. So I was like, fortunately, he went and got himself tested too. Wife tested, baby tested. Everybody tested negative except me. And so it seems no one else around us had got COVID or anything. But I suspect, and this is what I believe, I started piecing some things together. It turns out the guy whose office is behind mine had COVID at the same time. And I said, you know what? I bet you it was him. Because it wasn't guy I rode to the nursing home with. Because incubation time for Omicron here is 2 days. It seems 2 to 3 days. Well, if I got sick on if I started showing symptoms on Thursday, that means probably Tuesday I got infected. Okay. If that means, and then I noticed I was told that he left work the day after I started showing symptoms. He wasn't at work on Friday. And I said, and it popped up that he had COVID. I said, I bet you he got me sick. He got it from somebody, came to work unknowingly sick, gave it, because I said he don't seem like the type that would do that, who would come to work and be positive. So, and know he's positive for COVID and get people sick. So, yeah, I think he got me sick, because the only time I would have had my mask off when I'm out in public is when I'm at work and I'm sitting at my desk and I'm eating or drinking something. And I suspect that he walked past me, because he walked past my desk. I noted that earlier in the week. I thought back and I said, you know what? He walked past my desk a couple of times. I bet you it's him. I can't prove it. I can't say for sure. And I'm not trying to COVID shame the man either. But I'm like, God damn it. If you wore a mask in the office, this wouldn't have happened. Like, but he is one of the ones who don't wear the damn mask in the office. And I'm like, you would be the one. I don't never talk to you. I don't go in your office. I don't even deal with you on any type of level. I've talked to him maybe 3 times in a year and a half. And it's you who manages to get me sick. So, I said, well, at least I know where it came from. So I warned people who sit around me. I said, okay, well, Dubro back there behind us, we all know who it is. I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure he had COVID. And thing was like, oh, that would explain why he didn't come in on Friday. I was like, yep, probably didn't. Because he was probably COVID positive. Sure enough, when we had some type of training thing, I had to watch it from home. And director gets on and says, oh yeah, well so-and-so has COVID and that's why they're out too. And I'm like, thanks. Thanks, guy. So, and I was like, and if y'all wasn't so damn insistent upon somebody being in here in the office as much as possible, I wouldn't have fucking got COVID. So, I managed to dodge that shit for 2.5 years. I managed to dodge it for 2.5 years. And got fucking COVID. Like, God damn it. I was so mad. I was so mad. But thank God nobody else around us tested positive. They were all cool. So, that was like Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday, your boy goes to work. They have their weekly tests on Tuesday. Guess who popped positive and had to come home? Husband says, yeah, he calls me and I knew immediately. He said, if I call you, yeah, I'm coming home. And sure enough, he called me and I said, you tested positive, didn't you? And he was like, yep. I said, well, it look like we don't need to isolate no more. So I said, welcome to the COVID club. We got your welcome packet right there on the table. Come on in. He was like, that's terrible. And I was like, it's true. By that point, I was feeling like a billion times better, but I still wasn't out of the woods yet, and I was still positive. So I was like, but once you, and I read this too, once, if you live in a house where it's you and your spouse or whoever, you and your partner or whoever, y'all all have tested positive, ain't no point in isolating. What you're isolating from? You're literally positive still. It's the same thing. So yeah, no, he tested positive Tuesday of that next week. So I tested positive on Thursday and he tested positive like that next Tuesday. So we quit isolating, slept in the same bed again because we both got COVID. So his was very mild. He never had any of the main, like the core symptoms, like the sore throat, the headache, none of that, the chills, none of the fever, none of that. He had slight congestion because he was coughing up that phlegm on Saturday. So I said, okay, well then we can estimate here. If you started coughing up that phlegm on Saturday, that means you were infected likely Thursday when I started showing symptoms. So probably I infected you Thursday morning and you didn't know it because we slept in the same bed. We didn't know that I was sick at that point. Had no idea. So likely I infected him while we were asleep. That's how easily you infect people. So with this, that's how contagious this is. So we figured my timeline had to have been Monday or Tuesday when I got sick. Symptoms didn't appear for 2 days. Thursday I started showing symptoms. That means I likely infected him Thursday. He didn't start showing symptoms till Saturday. Okay, so then that means his day 0 was Saturday. So we were kind of behind each other. We were behind each other by about 2 days. So he he stayed home from work because he had to with a positive test. I was also at the house with a positive test. So we just stayed home. I worked from home and he was in here playing video games. He was fine other than coughing up stuff. I was still coughing up a little bit too. But all of my other symptoms and the congestion started calming down and it was getting much better. I could actually breathe normally. So yeah, we stayed in here all the way through the rest of the time period. So 10 days. I hit my day 10 on Sunday the 4th, September the 4th. And by that point I was cool. I was absolutely 99% over my symptoms. I still was coughing up a little bit, but nothing like it was, during the main super ridiculous part. And even then, it still wasn't terrible. None of my symptoms got any worse than what they started out as, except for the congestion, and that wasn't even that terrible. It really was like having the flu. So I felt better. And I'm 100% recovered now. Very seldom do I have to cough up anything. Now, when I get up in the morning, I'm a little congested, but nothing, like it was, at the height of all of that. His symptoms never went beyond anything other than the phlegm, coughing up the phlegm. And he said, he never had anything else. The only way you would have known that he was positive is because he took a test. That's it. And it was assumed that he was probably going to be positive anyway because like I said, we share a house. So even we tried to isolate as fast as possible, and still, he's likely infected before we even tried to isolate. So yeah, no, but we're 100% recovered. He's still coughing up a little bit of phlegm, just a little bit. But the good news is, my 10 days was up September the 4th. I took a test because he bought 2 tests when he bought me my original test to take. So second test I took on Monday the 5th when he had to go back to work. He was still probably positive. He was likely positive still. But CDC guidelines is like, no, you can go back to work after day 5. And I'm like, there's no way. You bet not. Do not go to work and get them people sick. You work in a nursing home with vulnerable people. No, we are not doing that. So he tried to stay home as long as they possibly would let him stay home. Day 9, they were like, well, you need to come back to work. And I'm like, stop it. So my part of my agency was like, you take whatever time. As long as you got the time to take, you do what you need to do. And it depends on how you feel anyway. So I was like, no, I'm staying home the whole 10 days. Because I'm not going into the office. I'm not potentially exposing people. I don't care what day number I'm on until it gets to day 10. After day 10, we're going to still reevaluate and figure out what I am. If I was still popping positive, I wasn't going to work. So Monday the 5th, I took a test and I was negative. So Paxlovid seemed to have done its job in preventing this from being worse. And like I say, Omicron is very mild, so it seems to be fine. He went back to work Monday the 5th. Wednesday he took a test. He took a rapid test at work, and he was negative. So we both cleared as negative within 2 days of each other. So yeah, I do not recommend COVID. 0 out of 10 would not recommend. It was unpleasant. It was not nearly as bad, and I thank the Lord that we were fortunate that we were not as sick as we possibly could have been. Because had this been Delta or the Alpha or the Beta strains of this, we might be dead. I might not be sitting here making this video to tell you that I survived having COVID. It would have been really bad. So I'm super thankful. Also, I've been double vaccinated and boosted at least once. So that also helped. Thank God for them vaccines. Okay. So, yeah, I was so scared. When I tell y'all, I cannot tell you how scared I was that I was going to die because I caught COVID. Minding my business, mind you. Don't be all up in folks' face. I don't go visiting at folks' house. I don't be out in the street like that. And when I am, if I have to go out and I gotta go in somewhere and do all of that, double mask, wash my hands, stay the hell away from people at all times. Like I don't even like being at work and talking to people. Y'all notice, y'all have heard me talk about the Rona and about trying not to catch it and doing the right thing and staying the hell away from people since the beginning. And managed to catch this because some asshat came to work unknowingly sick but ain't wearing a damn mask. And I was like, oh my God. And there are people in my office who've had it 3 times now. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Huh. So the aftermath of all of this, several things. 1, I went back to work probably Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday. Okay. Full almost 2 weeks after, or almost a week after I had COVID. Okay. And because I wanted to make sure I tested negative before I stepped foot in the building. And so, people at work, some people called me, checked in with me online. Hey, I see you online. Are you cool? What's going on? Are you all right? How are you doing? Okay. All of my desk neighbors checked in with me. All right. My in charge checked in with me. My director on the side that I'm working on, he checked in with me. So everybody was cool. All right. Wednesday, the Wednesday that I came back, they're supposed to be having this in-person meeting for this thing that I had volunteered to do. Now, under normal circumstances, I would have gone. But considering that I literally just recovered from COVID, I don't feel like I should be sitting up in a meeting with a bunch of people who may or may not be wearing masks. Okay. And I am trying to eat something. I gotta have something to eat. So I gotta take my mask off at some point. And I just recovered from COVID. Do you really think that's a wise idea? Nah, I don't think that's a wise idea. So, because I don't think I'm going to go to this meeting because I'm kind of skittish about that right now. And I feel a little weird about doing this. Okay. But yes, I do need to go. I would like to be in this meeting because I have volunteered to do this. And this can only help me with what it is I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. Why is it that the director for that side, for this project that I have volunteered to work on, calls me in her office, does not say, hey, are you all right? Have you recovered? How do you feel? Are you good? I'm glad to see you back at work. She knew I had COVID. Mind you, she knew I had COVID because when I found out that Dude Bro was out with COVID also at this get together that they had online that I was watching online from the house. I talked to her and I said, yeah, I'm taking my medicine. I'm, in and out, but I'm good. I'm recovering. She knew that I had COVID. Not one time did she ask, did she call to check in? None of that. Not once. But you called me in your office to chastise me because I didn't come to the meeting because I was a little skittish about coming into a large ass meeting where I just recovered from COVID. That tells me, and this is why I say these motherfuckers are not taking this shit seriously. Oh, and she, by the way, has had it at least twice herself. So I know y'all ain't taking it seriously. You're being cavalier with this shit. And it's not okay. This is a safety issue. And I don't feel like it was appropriate for her to chastise me. I'm thinking about my safety. I'm thinking about the people in the office safety. Oh, and by the way, I managed to catch COVID at work. Like, you would think we'd be a little bit more concerned when people in our office, your direct subordinates are fucking catching COVID from other subordinates. Like, come on. But you concerned because I didn't come to this meeting that, oh, by the way, you had slides for? Like, stop it. I was so mad when I left. The more I thought about it, the madder I got. And I was like, that's that bullshit. That's really that bullshit. So what you're telling me is my black ass is expendable. That's what you're telling me. But this particular director, I don't get good vibes from. I don't. Like I say, didn't even bother to call and say, hey, are you all right? You're not dead, are you? Like, the other director checked in, was like, hey, I'm glad to see that and hear, that you're doing better. And, we're glad that when I got back that day, I talked to him. And the first thing he said, I'm glad to see you back in the office and that you're all right and that you're recovered. Like, it's the least you can do. Since I caught it at the job. And I caught it at the job. And then gave it to my husband. Like, I was so mad. Like, mad does not begin to cover. But I was just like, it's stuff like this. This is the kind of stuff where you start noticing how folks do at the job. Speaking of people who I didn't hear from. So I did actually talk to my aunt. I called my aunt and told her, hey, listen, I tested positive for COVID. She too, super high risk. So I was like, you do not want this. Try to not get it. Okay. So, and also I called to let her know that. So somebody in my family would at least know something was going on. They would know what was going on. So, she, for whatever reason, felt the need to tell cousin, and I was just like, oh, God. So now I got to call her. So, yeah, no, it was, so I talked to her, and she checked in and called. So then, that was Aunt A. All right. I talked to Aunt A and cousin T. Aunt D texted me a couple of days after I recovered, mind you, and says, I'm just checking in with you. I heard you got COVID. Okay, well, what if I had died? You gonna text me then to find out? Damn. I was like, but it's another example of, what, I'm just not even surprised at this point. So I don't even work myself up about it. I don't even work myself up about it. I was like, okay, thank you. I appreciate the well wishes. Passed them along to Brandon as well, because apparently she'd been told that Brandon, because I had called Aunt A and told her, yeah, Brandon tested positive as well. So, and she was like, yeah, I kind of figured that was going to happen. And I was like, yep, me too. So, but he's well, he's doing well, he's all right. So that was my family. Then I talked to father-in-law. So Brandon had told his daddy that he tested. No, he called his daddy and told him that I tested positive first. And then he called his daddy and said, hey, by the way, I tested positive, a couple days later. So he called him a couple days after that. And, oh, yeah, I tested positive too. Yeah, we all right. We at the house. But before he tested positive, he talked to his daddy. Before he tested positive. Right after I tested positive. And we told him, please don't tell Brandon's mother. Because she's going to be a pain in the ass. So, a couple days go by, Brandon tests positive. Brandon then calls his mom. After he calls his dad and tells her, hey mama, I tested positive. Let me tell you about how folks do. He tells her, I tested positive. Long pause. Well, how did you get it? Like, does it matter? But all right. Because I was sitting there when he called her. And I thought to myself, does it matter how he got it? But all right. He says, and I quote, well, my wife is also recovering from it. Long pause. Well, are you all right? I mean, you good, though. You know how to take care of yourself and stay in the house and don't do... It wasn't, is she okay, too? No. Y'all, when I tell y'all she never called me or texted me to check in with me, I am not lying. Not once. I tested positive somewhere, I think on the 24th or 25th of August. I want to say the 25th of August. I can't remember whatever date it was. 24th or the 25th. One of the two. Actually, the 25th. Okay. Because the 24th was a Wednesday. And I tested positive Thursday. So, yes, the 25th. Oh, no. No, I think actually the 26th is when I tested positive. Yeah, I think it was the 26th. When I tell you, from August 26th to right now, September the 12th, I ain't got a phone call or text the first from her. I am not making this up. His daddy called. My daddy called. After I posted on Facebook that I got a positive test, my wacky ass narcissistic daddy called. He at least expressed some concern that one of his spawn might have, contracted this terrible disease that's killing people still. But no, not once. Apparently, she asked him how I was doing, but, she ain't called me personally or texted me or either of the two to ask what my condition might be or if I've recovered. Not once. And I said, see, I'm going to remember this. I'm going to remember this. You know what? Nah, don't worry about it. And I told Brandon, I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You ain't got to worry about that. Don't worry about whether or not she called me or not. But keep it in the back of your mind. Don't let it sit up here and be something that you feel you have to address right now. Oh, no. No. We're going to handle this differently. Because she knows she hasn't picked up the phone and called. She knows she hasn't texted me. She know. You ain't got to remind her. You shouldn't have to remind someone to call their daughter-in-law and or text their daughter-in-law and ask if they're all right when they're recovering from an illness. You shouldn't have to do that. That should be automatic. That's just common human fucking decency. But then again, we dealing with somebody who ain't got no manners and or common sense or common decency. I mean, that's just what it is. It is what it is. So I said, well, okay. All right. I'm going to remember that. I'm going to put it in the back of my mind and I'm going to remember that. So the next time your black ass gets sick or you need some type of care or something like... Gonna be radio silence on this end. At least for me it will be. He can do whatever. That's his mama. But I promise you, it ain't gonna be. It's not gonna be from me. You're not getting no care from me. Because why should I? You don't give a shit about me. You let me know you don't give a shit about me. You made sure that I know that you don't give a shit about me. So nah. Nah. Absolutely not. You're not finna get any type of care from me. Not once did she go. And what pisses me off the most is, and I told him this, she can call me about a goddamn shooting 20 blocks away from me. It ain't got nothing to do with me. Not even near my house. Not even that close to my house. It's in the general vicinity, but not anywhere near the house where, you know, it was shots fired in my neighborhood or something like that. You can call me about that. You can blow up my damn phone looking for your child who was otherwise indisposed, but you can't be bothered to ask about me. You can do all this other bullshit, texting me, calling me while I'm at work for bullshit, but you can't be bothered to call me to ask how I'm doing when I'm recovering from COVID, which you and I have the same risk factors. So you can call for everything else, but you can't call for that. All right. Bet. Okay. So I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm going to remember that though. I'm going to remember that. She an asshole. There's no other way of getting around that. She an asshole. So that's where we are in current day. I have recovered from COVID. Husband has recovered from COVID. I would like to not get it again. I really wouldn't. I do not want to have COVID again. It's unpleasant. And this is with the mild version. I can only imagine what the really terrible version was like. But we made it 2.5 years. Did everything we supposed to be doing. Still managed to catch this shit. Because people. I cannot. I just cannot. But yeah, that's where we are. So I was thinking, so there's this job that popped up at news organization I used to work for here in Columbia. I was thinking about applying for it. And I was like, you know, I actually would be a perfect fit for this job. But I've kind of been in current job for like a year at this point, and I don't know. My mom always did say, you need to stay on the job for at least a year, if you can help it. Stay on the job for at least a year. Any less of time, and it's something that's you're doing, that you decided to do. It ain't like they, excuse me, they fired you or something like that. That ain't nothing you can do nothing about. But, or they laid you off. But if you leaving before a year is up and it's because of something you did, well, okay, that looks bad. So I was like, yeah. So I don't know. I've been there a year and a half, and like I said, I like the work. I like what it is I do for a living. I just don't like the people too much. Now, the people who I work around and like my colleagues, my actual colleagues, the people who are on the same level as me, my in charge, I like all of them. And I liked my in charges on the other side too. But you know, the one that I talked about, I was not fond of. One of the in charges I was not fond of. I was just like, yeah, I don't have to work with her, so I'm like, good deal. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that either. And then that director is just like, you only talk to me when you want something or to chastise me. Bye. I'm too over. At this point now, especially with how old I am now and having been out in the world and work somewhere, I have no patience for that sort of thing. Don't talk to me. And I ain't never gonna be one of your favorites. And I'm gonna tell you, the previous boss that I worked with at DHL, the one that I said was, super racist and all. Yeah, I didn't. She started out like this too, where only time you talk to me is when you want something or you want to chastise me about something stupid. So I don't. I don't need to. I don't need to do that. So I don't know. I was thinking hard about applying for this job, but I don't know if I'm gonna do it. Like I say, and the pay would have to be commensurate with the experience required that you're asking for here, the work you were asking for, and the fact that I've been in another field and you'd have to pay me close to what I'm making right now. If it's anything less than what I'm making right now, ain't no point in me leaving where I am. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna apply for it or not. But I mean, I'd be great for it. I would be absolutely great for it. And I used to work for this news organization when I was in college. I was their very first editorial assistant, and I loved it. I loved it. It was a good experience. It gave me a taste of a news gathering organization. How all that works and being part of a news team and that sort of thing. So this is for like managing editor of that organization. Like I said, I was editorial assistant. So I actually assisted the managing editor of said when it wasn't called managing editor then, but I assisted the person in that position when they asked, for help with things. I was basically like I did the grunt work. So the stuff that, you needed done that, well, you ain't got time to do all that because you got to focus on the bigger picture things to get done, and you need some little small menial stuff done. I would do that sort of thing. So I was 21 when I worked for them. 21, almost 22. I'm now 41. So that was 20 years ago that I worked for them. I worked for them my last semester in school, August of 2002 until like May 2003 when I graduated from college the first time. So this is in my other field of journalism. So yeah, I mean, continuing on with Gaming Insurrection, that right there is my portfolio. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to see how much they're asking for. What we know about this job. I don't know, but I know the area. I mean, I'm from here, and the job is based here. So, I'm from here. I know the area. I know how I even sort of used to know how some of the publication worked, because I was their editorial assistant. So, I mean, it's changed a lot in the 20 years since I worked there, but it's changed ownership like 3 times. Most of the staff, even the staff that I worked with, none of those people are still there. The guy who hired me is no longer there, and he's been there a long time. So none of these people who are there now, I don't know any of them. I take that back. There is one person, and she does the layout for it. And I was like, yeah, she worked there when I was there. So I take that back when I said none of the people are still there. It's one person. And I've changed my name twice since in the time that I worked there. So I know she gonna be like, oh, word? You changed it twice? But going back there, if I went back there, so technically, legally, I am my married name, but I still haven't changed it with Social Security or the DMV. So I'm still using my maiden name, but eventually my plan is to use my married name, go by my married name professionally and personally. I use it personally, like on Facebook I have changed my last name, Like, it clearly is my married name, my second married name. So yeah, I professionally though I am just my maiden name, Hicks. So yeah, yeah. I don't know. I really want to send something to the guy and be like, hey, so I used to work for the Free Times, and I kind of want to talk to you guys. So yes, it's the Free Times in Columbia, but yeah, it's like, hey, I used to work for the Free Times. So I don't know. It's changed so much in 20 years. It doesn't look the same at all. It used to be like a tabloid rag that was like a broadsheet tabloid. Well, it was more like a tabloid. It was a tabloid size. And so, but it used to be like super creative, and it was like creative loafing in Atlanta and Charlotte. So yeah, it's a lot like that, but it used to be very much like that. Now it's not. It's not. So I don't know. I couldn't get back into journalism when I left Burlington. So yeah, I don't know if I want to make that leap back into it. I do, but I don't. I wouldn't mind getting back into the game, but it's got to be something that's like super. It's got to be super worth it, and it's got to be pay wise. It's got to be worth it too. So, but this gig, man, I think this gig would be great. I really do. I think this gig would be great. I think it would be perfect. It's the kind of newspaper job that I would love to get back into, and what I wanted to do as my career progressed anyway. But I've been out of journalism for so long, professionally, and I'm talking about like professionally, full-time day job, that prospective employers might look at me and go, but you haven't been in journalism in 8 years, guy. Why should we hire you again? And then I go, yeah, I kind of got out of journalism because I couldn't get a job in it when I came back to Columbia. That was the problem. If I could have, I would have stayed in it, but I couldn't. Nobody would hire. Nobody was hiring at that point. Nobody was looking for me and what, the type of journalist that I am. So, but now I run my own. So, like, in my spare time. So there's that's what you're looking for is what I do in my spare time. But it's not my day job anymore. So I work on it when I feel like it. I set my own deadlines and all of that. So, but it shows that I do still have a connection to the business. I just don't do it as a full-time job. So there might be some folks who'd be a little bit hesitant about that, because they might be like, well, I mean, you kind of got out the game there for a minute and you've been out it. So I don't know if dedication, but then again, like I say, GI shows I got some type of dedication to it. It's all that I knew for 10 years and then some. So I don't know. I'll put it this way. Anybody who would talk to me for their publication and as a prospective employer and would want to hear from me, we're going to have a very interesting conversation. Because when I walk in the door, they're going to be like, well, wait a minute. Hold on. Look at her resume again. Wait a minute. It said down here she's an accountant right now. She has a degree in accounting and a degree in journalism. What is going on here? Oh, she interesting. Yeah, go ahead, call her in here. So let's start with the accounting part. And then they're going to ask, so wait a minute. Wait, you've been an accountant. You went to school for accounting and got a 4-year degree in that. And you have a 4-year degree in journalism from USC? Nani? That's what they gonna ask me. Then they gonna go see down there at the bottom on the resume that says down there under activities and skills. Wait a minute, it says game and insurrection. Let's pull it. I've actually had somebody do this in an interview too. They pulled it up and they were like, "Oh yeah, we were super interested in this. What is this?" And I'm like, "Okay, so yeah, I started this when I was in college. I decided I was gonna do my own publication because I love video games and I love writing and I love talking about video games. So here we are." And it's a side publication. It's its own publication. I make no money from it. It's a hobby. But I used what journalistic skills I learned in school and from working in the field for 400 years to produce this and make it look like a professional rag. I mean, we are, people use this as on their resumes and as, you know, like use me as a reference, and I'm completely fine with that. And they're like, oh wow, this is like, yeah, journalism folks, man, let me tell you, journalism folks eat that up. Oh, and then they look down there and see honors and accomplishments, and that I was a Dow Jones News Fund copy editor selectee in 2002, and they go, "Oh, now we see why this looks like, oh, but you went back to school for accounting." Yep. Yep. So yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do anything with this. I don't know. And I need to, because there will be someone who will jump on this. This job is a plum gig here in Columbia. So it's the free times is very well known. It's just, man, these days it's so different than what it used to be. So I don't know. We're going to have to talk to some folks. I did talk to a mentor, journalism mentor, and told him, "Hey, I'm thinking about applying for this job." And he was like, "Is accounting not cutting it these days?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, it is. It's interesting, but this job in particular, he recommended me for the original editorial assistant job way back when. So he knows the publication very well. He knows the people at the publication very well. So he was like, "But no, go for it." And I was like, I might do that. I don't know. I might have to. I might look into it. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to have some discussions. And like I say, they would have to pay me close to what I'm making right now. Very close. In fact, probably more, in order for it to be worth my while monetarily. Job wise, I got plans already. I'm sitting there thinking about in my mind, but how I would approach the job and organization and folks, you know, talking to folks, and what I would do with like keeping things together and, you know, coverage and all kind of ideas. So yeah, and like I say, I'm from here, so I know what it is the job is asking for and the different things that you're going to be covering and that they, you know, talked about in the job description. I was like, oh yeah, I know most of the different like places that this is. I know where we would need to be in for coverage and things because I'm from here. I know about the arts and entertainment scene here. So, and especially as an adult, because you're always looking for something to do. Date night and, you know, wanting to just go out and explore the city. And like, I mean, I know the different areas. So I know kind of what's important in the city and the different areas and overall. So yeah, I think I would be an excellent fit for the job. It's probably perfect for me, but it just so happens that I'm not in journalism right now. Not like a full-time job or anything. And I've only been on this one job for a year. So, year and some change. So, it's like, I don't know if I want to apply. I don't know. So, I don't know. We'll see. I talked to husband about it, and husband said the same thing. He was like, "Listen, In order for this to work, it would have to be for you. It would have to be worth your while to do so. You would have to, and see, we'd only been together a year while I was in journalism. That's how long we've been together. I've been with him almost as long as I've been outside of journalism as a full-time job. So, yeah, I don't know. We'd have to see. So he was like, but if you think that's something you want to, think about doing, then, he was like, I support you. Go for it. And I was like, okay, cool. Appreciate your support. So yeah, no, not too much else going on. Not really. Watching anime. Playing some games. We did go out yesterday since it was Brandon's birthday. We went out and I took him to places he wanted to go. It was the first time I'd been in a bookstore in probably 2.5 years. I was just like, oh my God, the whole time I was in there, I was like, I want to get out of here really fast. So, but yeah, no, yeah, I'm good here at the house. Not a whole lot going on, not a whole lot happening. So, I don't know. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. And hopefully we're going to start season 5 in a little bit. I think I'm supposed to be on season 5. Yeah, I think I'm in season 4 right now. So, yeah, I think we're going to start season 5 in a little bit. I got to start prepping for that, for Dark Girl Chronicles. So, yeah, we'll see. I got to get the music and stuff together, figure out title card and all of that. I don't know. I got to figure that out. I haven't thought about that yet. And look, we're supposed to be on season 9. Actually, season 10. We should be on season 10, and we're just on season 4. So, yeah, I don't know. I'll get around to it. I promise I'm going to get around to it. So, yeah. But thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll be back with another video in a little bit, and won't be 6 months in between, 9 months in between videos. Yeah, I'll be back. So I'll see you guys later. Deuces.